Hello everyone, and welcome to Circular Economy Challenges and Opportunities podcast. I am your host, Maerhaba Ishaq. In today's episode, we'll explore ESG in the context of sustainable transitions. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance factors, which play a key role in investment and business decisions. This framework helps companies to identify, assess, and manage both risks and opportunities in relation to their sustainability practices. Research shows that companies embracing ESG not only perform better financially, but also manage risks more effectively and create measurable impact for society and the environment. I want this episode to be a conversation starter. If you're working with ESG in your organization or have stories to share, connect with me. Your experiences could be featured in our next episode. I'm thrilled to be joined by Dr. Shab, a senior lecturer in financial management at Jamik University of Applied Sciences in Finland. He specializes in corporate finance, corporate governance, and sustainable finance, and coordinates research projects while teaching courses like European corporate finance. Welcome, Shab. Could you tell us a bit about your research area and your journey as a researcher?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. As you mentioned, that my primary field of research is corporate finance, corporate governance, and lately I have now ventured in sustainable finance because the idea behind this movement was that I realized that finance is going through a big transition phase, and finance is not all about the earning money. Now it's more about responsibility and also sustainability. So then I thought that maybe if I really want to explore this discipline, I should actually move to the sustainable finance. But then I realized that the word sustainability is very ambiguous because many people make interpretation of it very differently, and sometimes it's very confusing what sustainability is. But in the field of finance, luckily, we have this kind of certain metrics which we can quantify the level of sustainability at the firm level. And that is environmental, social, and governance. As acronym, it's called ESG. So now, at the moment, most of my research endeavors alongside with my students, they are primarily, basically gravitating around the ESG. So that's what has been happening at the moment.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about ESG?
Because the idea is that the sustainability phrase is very qualitative, and there is a risk of having very, kind of misinterpretation or having very different type of conflicting, the interpretation of it. So in case of environmental, social, and governance, we have three pillars of sustainability. Environmental, of course, includes the carbon footprint, how you're using those kind of, the pollution level, how much affluence you're adding to the water. The social is about your workplace environment. How often the staff is leaving the job? What is the social security network available to them? And the governance is that how responsible is the board of directors? Where is the accountability? Where is the transparency lying? So the governance is more about responsibility, accountability, discipline. So that these three things, environmental, social, and governance, when you combine them as one phenomenon, you have a checklist of certain, do's and don'ts. Mm-hmm. And the companies, as they are, they fill in the information, and then this information is audited by the independent organization, you can get a score out of 100.
Okay.
Higher the combined score of ESG, more a company is reckoned as sustainable. Mm-hmm. And not only that, you not only have the combined score, but you can also have the score from the individual strand. Mm-hmm. It could be possible that the aggregated ESG score is very high, but it seems that your governance is very poor.
Okay.
So it could be possible. So you can basically, you can dissect the ESG into E, S, and G separately.
Exactly.
So it could be possible that you have no problem with the environmental issues or the social, responsibility, but the problem lies with the board of directors conflict and the lack of accountability or the lack of transparency. So you know exactly which area are the areas of improvement and where to address the issue.
Yeah. So according to your research, how should we address this issue about accountability?
Well, there are many ways. Accountability can be measured in different ways. How independent is the board of directors? How diverse is the board of directors?
Exactly.
Because the history and the empirical facts show that more a board of directors is diverse, better it behaves. Because then you bring the intellectual capital, which is of very diverse nature. And if the board is very homogeneous with respect to gender or educational qualification or the cultural nuances, or all the board of directors belong to one nation, right? Or they have a similar background, then it doesn't really contribute to the company.
Yeah.
Diversity bring the intellectual capital, diversity bring the kind of big pool of a big portfolio of skills, knowledge, and expertise.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen this working with companies? So the more diverse the board of directors are, the better governance a company has?
That's true, because my empirical research, which I published recently, it shows that, particularly in case of Finland.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
The environmental things are not a problem. The labor, the social aspect is fine. The governance is a problematic phenomenon.
There is where the most problems and issues lie at the moment.
Absolutely.
In transition to circular economy.
Transition. Okay. So the governance, having a common understanding, I'm not saying homogeneous understanding.
Yeah, common understanding.
Having a common minimum understanding about sustainability, how it is related to the other dynamics of the company, like firm performance, its capital structure, its strategic decision making.
Yeah.
So all these things are deeply embedded with the ESG.
Yes.
And the problem is that the current governance structure of the company is not very fluid, is not very flexible. So we're lacking resilience in that case.
Yeah, very interesting.
So that is the area where the corporate leaders need to come forward and address the issue.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the environmental and social aspects are perfect, but at the moment, relatively, the governance aspect. In terms of Finland, the governance aspect is something which really needs kind of introspection thoroughly, deep down.
Very interesting. Is that something to do with leadership in sustainable transition? So the leadership or the governance, like what you said, board of directors need to take a different path, different way of thinking, maybe different way of leadership. Yeah,
I think that the leadership is like, I can give you example of, does a country need politicians or statesmen? So I think the statesmen are more like a visionary. The companies similarly don't need the executives or the boards or people at these type of designations. They need the visionaries. They need people who can envisage the next 20, 30, 40 years, and they can position the company that how the company can sail along these different dynamics. So that way, the common understanding, the word I used before, that understanding the phenomenon is very important, and how this phenomenon will evolve in the dynamics around you, because you see that the company do not work in isolation.
Exactly.
You have so many stakeholders. And even if you are a great company in the world, the corporate leadership has to be visionary enough to foresee these challenges and be prepared for various, contingency plans.
Yeah, you said they need to be flexible.
They need to be flexible,
in this time
resilient.
Resilient.
I think the resilience is very important. You can't stick to a point because the world is not static, it's dynamic.
Yeah.
So if you are very static, and that is one problem I must mention in particular about the Finland is that in Finland, we don't have many big multinational companies.
Yeah.
Finland is largely an SME-driven economy, the small and medium enterprises. And here, the predominance of, at the managerial position are not the trained managers, but they are the engineers.
Okay.
So because Finland has always been known for manufacturing sector. And very often in the small and the medium enterprises, you will find that the people who are at the helm of affairs of a company are not the trained managers, but they are the engineers. They can be great, but, they can't replace the managerial skills.
Yeah.
So this is where the lack of managerial talent comes in between. So what I'm trying to propagate is that the manager with the long-term approach, with a sustainable approach. So if you want to make this corporate sector sustainable, there has to be a sustainability in the mindset
of the managers
of the managers or the leadership. I will use the word leadership. That's a more broader spectrum than the managerial job, basically.
Yeah. So the mindset of the leadership is very important.
It's very important because all these things, they are basically from top to down. There's a top-down thing, and only the good things can trickle down if the leadership has made up its mind to be resilient, to be growth-oriented, and have a sustainable growth approach. Yeah. So thinking about the long-term goals, not the short-term.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the managerial talent I see, they usually have very myopic approach, which basically means that they have a very short-term approach.
Yeah.
So it's very important for the managers. It's not just concerning Finland. It's a general phenomenon that the corporate managers, they are more obsessed with their key performance indicators, this KPI so-called. But in the process, they are missing the bus. The bus is the longevity. The bus is the sustainability of the companies.
Well said. Thank you very much. We talked about some of the challenges, also looking at the ESGs. But according to your research and observations, what are some of the main challenges faced by the Finnish SMEs in transitioning to sustainable business models?
So that's a very good question. Finland, if I have to say, the Finnish corporate sector, at the moment, there is a big trade-off between the economic or the business growth and sustainability. As I mentioned before, that many companies, they want to have the quick results. So they are more concerned about those well-set parameters of, the financial success or the strategic success and whatnot. In the process, they miss out the sustainability issue. I don't see that a company who is sustainable is not having the financial success. But in the short period, there can be some trade-off. So you have to pick up. If you have enough cash flow, if you have surplus cash flow, do you want to give it to the shareholders back, or do you want to reinvest in some long-term project? Unfortunately, the managers with very myopic approach, they would rather give this money to the shareholders instead of reinvesting back in the company.
Yeah.
But a manager who is a visionary would do the opposite. But of course, there are some costs. The cost is that the shareholders will be very unhappy with this type of manager because they are expecting,
something in return.
Something in return. They could be more obsessed with the return on investment. So it means that there's a need for making the shareholders also aware that, guys, you're not losing any money. You just have to be patient so that the company makes success in the long period. And in the long period, not only the company grows, but your profits will also be ensured. So in the short period, there can be some kind of conflicts between the business growth and sustainability. But in the long period, these two ethos, they go hand in hand. All we need is patience.
All we need is patience. Let's pause for a moment. We've explored key aspects of ESG and how companies are approaching them. Many see ESG as important, but connecting it to real circular economy and sustainability strategies is still a challenge. That's where research and practice come together. ESG isn't just about reporting. It focuses on protecting the environment, creating social value, and ensuring strong governance. Think about how your organization can use ESG as a tool for real transformation, not just a box to tick. All right, let's get back to the conversation. Shab, what patterns have emerged in your research on successful circular or sustainable business models? Have you observed some of the companies successfully transitioning to or using circular or sustainable business models?
Yes, that's true. We have some articles in the publication process. But what we have found is that actually the ESG, the aggregated score, and environmental score in isolation and the social score in isolation, they actually improve the return on assets. So we took some kind of lagged relationship that what you do if you are making some ESG initiative this year, how it affects the return on investment for the next year, return on assets next year.
Yeah.
We found that there is no contradiction between the two. It could be that in a short period, there might be conflict. But what I have found that the ESG, the aggregated score, what we have found that the ESG as the aggregated score, and then the decomposed, the separate score of E, S, they are improving the financial performance of the company. The only problematic variable is the governance.
Okay.
So
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said before, that the governance is something, the governance of the companies with respect to understanding of sustainability and with respect to implementing the decisions about sustainability. That is where we need to develop a lot.
Yeah, so improve the leadership and their mindset
the
on
board
resilience
structure,
and sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. The board structure, the board composition, the background of the board of directors, the diversity of the board of directors in multiple ways. That could be, I won't say that it's a panacea, but that could be the area which is worth exploring, that if we make these changes, can they make a positive impact?
Yeah, very interesting.
And one more thing I would like to share, that we also researched that the companies who are more sustainable, do they have the low or the high likelihood of bankruptcy in the future?
Good question.
And you'll be surprised to know that the companies who are more sustainable, that is high ESG score, high E, S, and G, separate score, they have the lower probability of bankruptcy in the future. So it means that those companies who have seriously and very sincerely implemented this sustainability, they are also have ensured that, they're safe, they're solvent, and there's no real fear of any bankruptcy. And on
so
the
that
opposite,
could be a reason.
That's a very good reason.
Yeah, that's a very
good motivation for the
companies to do the right things.
Do the right thing, absolutely.
Shab, you're a member of the Center of Excellence Business Modeling within UDRES. Can you explain to our audience about this cool Center of Excellence and your collaboration with other researchers across the European universities as part of the UDRES?
It's a great question, and I'm so happy that I'm part of Center of Excellence, which to me is like a think tank, solving the hand-on problems that our society, our academia, and our research is facing. To me, this center of excellence is a bridge between the knowledge creation, knowledge development, and dissemination. I was talking to some of my friends yesterday that I was trying to explain to them that it's more like a supply side and the demand side. On the one hand, we create supply of knowledge. And then on the other side, we are disseminating the knowledge, which is the demand side. So that way, the Center of Excellence is doing a great job in terms of its mediatory role. And on top of that, through the Center of Excellence, I have made very good friends. We are doing a lot of research projects together. And we also make sure that what we do is interesting and it's also relevant to different stakeholders, different communities, to the students, to the corporate sector. And we also try to, cater to the needs of our national and international stakeholder. Mm-hmm. And the Center of Excellence, if you look at the working of it in the last year and a half, we have integrated immensely with each other, and we have also shown the resilience. We are not what we were a year and a half ago, but thanks to this resilience, thanks to this common understanding that now the Center of Excellence is a very good functioning body. Yeah, in its own rights.
Exactly. In this Center of Excellence, there are researchers from 9 University of Applied Sciences across Europe, from 9 different countries. More than 30 researchers are involved in the Center of Excellence. If you look at the collaboration, why do you think it is important in Europe in research that different universities or University of Applied Sciences collaborate with each other? Why is it that important?
Well, I think the collaboration is important anyways, because, no one organization is sufficient to solve the research related issues or solve the research questions. We are 9 partners, and even though we have a lot of similarities, but we also have a lot of diversity. Some schools are more, I would say, diligent in certain aspects of the business world. Some have more specialization in the other streams. So we are technically capitalizing the capabilities of each other through this network. Mm-hmm. So similarly, some universities, they are more into academic research. Some are more into practitioner research. Yes. And it's a very good collaborative, mechanism and ecosystem has been created with researchers with a diverse background. We come together, and even though we might have different solutions, we disagree, but we agree to disagree as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice place for knowledge dissemination.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sharing the latest research results and creating new knowledge together. Shab, where do you see the most urgent research gaps in sustainability research, especially in sustainable finance?
There are many, actually. What research most of them have done so far is that they have considered sustainability as one phenomenon, and they have put emphasis on the aggregated ESG score. But I think in the future, the researchers are strongly suggested that not only the aggregated score, but they should also, decompose this term. They should break it down to E, S, and G separately and find out that how these individual elements of environmental, social, and governance, how they play, how they interplay, in the different aspects of the companies. Similarly, we need to have a mutual connection between E, S, and G. So not only we need to do their research independently, but we also see that is it so that the companies with the higher E score are also having higher S score, or do we see any contradiction between E, S, and G? So the mutual connection between these 3 letters is also worth exploring for the future. Most of the research in sustainability has been at the firm level. This is my second suggestion. But I think we need to make it a little bit more aggregated and see at the regional basis as well, that how a certain region in a country, what has been its performance with respect to sustainability. More case studies are needed, and also explore that, because what we see at the moment is that ESG or sustainability projects, they are very expensive. They need lots of money.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the financing instruments are very traditional, very old-fashioned. For the sustainability related projects, we need some new instruments and new mechanism of financing also.
Yeah.
So the researchers should explore that what type of financing instruments can make the sustainability project more doable, more practical, and without any fear of closure or without any fear of financial bottlenecks.
Yeah.
So we need some special financing instruments for the sustainability project.
Do you see CSRD, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, as one of these instruments in helping the companies for making sustainable decisions?
I think it's a good initiative, and this can make, it can help to have a common understanding about the sustainability itself and the related aspect also. But when it comes to the specific financing aspect of the sustainability project, I think then the financial institutions, they need to come forward more. Already some good developments have taken place, but they are not adequate enough to. So the people who design these financial products like share capital or the bond capital or the short-term deposits or the long-term borrowings, they need to come with the better ideas to develop those instruments which can help in financing the sustainability-oriented project more holistically.
Yeah.
At the moment, there is a gap, and that can be one discouraging factor to the companies. I would reiterate that the traditional funding is not suitable for the sustainability project. So we need to be more innovative in financial research.
Innovation is very important in financial. Yeah, finding new instruments or innovative ways to finance these sustainability projects.
Yeah.
Shab, I have one last question today. How can future research better support regions, cities, and companies in implementing sustainable practices?
I think we need to learn from each other. And that's why the Center of Excellence is a great example that we are learning from each other. Similarly, the best practices which have been established in different, in the corporate settings, we need to learn them. But we need to be very careful that it's very important to understand these policies, these strategies, but we must not do one mistake, that is apply them as such in a different corporate setting. So it's very important that we are making them more, customized.
Exactly.
According to the socio-economic, political, even psychological dynamics. Because what has been successful in one region there's no guarantee that it will be successful
in other regions. Yeah.
We can't transplant the successful models from one place to another place.
Even at the company level, the success stories cannot always be translated to other companies.
Yeah. We should learn the best practices, we should acknowledge them, but we need to ask our question that can it be practically possible? If it is possible in X region, can it be applicable in Y and Z? So we need to see it more holistically and more pragmatically.
Thank you very much, Shab, for sharing your insights today. It was fascinating to hear about your research on sustainable finance, ESGs, leadership and governance, aspects of transitioning to sustainable business models. And to our listeners, if you've involved in ESG initiatives or have stories to share, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me. Your experience could be featured in our next episode. Thank you for listening, and I can't wait to see you next time.